Hello and welcome to Quarter Past 65, where we'll be talking about some captivating, interesting stories as it relates to people who are quarter past 65, like myself, or those who are even over. We'll also be talking about ways to bridge intergenerational gaps. I am Dr. Stella Olurotimi Ayamara Dorgu, your host. Did you know that out of Nigeria's 200 million people, 14.8 million of them are elderly people? And by 2050, this number of older persons in Nigeria is expected to significantly increase to about 30 million. This means that there'll be more elderly people that have retired, and there would be more vulnerable people who need supportive and enabling environments to remain independent and engage with society. Let's remember that this population of over 65s include retired judges, lawyers, teachers, doctors, nurses, civil servants, farmers. Once upon a time, their input ruled society. But today, who remembers them? Especially in a world that's ruled by technology and artificial intelligence. In today's episode, we're going to be talking with Elder, he's fondly called, Professor Tom Aze Adaba. He's called teacher also for his exceptional skills as a communicator, innovator, leader, philanthropist, and his commitment to community development. With over 5 decades of experience in the global media space, Elder or Teacher Adaba, or Prof, as I like to call him, has left an indelible mark on the industry. After retiring from the public service, Professor Adaba continued his work in consulting in private sector and mentoring younger generations in broadcasting and communication. In 2021, Professor Adaba launched the Tom Adaba Legacy Project to focus on cultural preservation, youth development, education, and improving the living standards of Nigerians. Today, we would want to tap into the vast resources of his personal experience and wisdom to explore the challenges and lives of senior citizens in Nigeria. Professor Adaba, sir, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
To Quarter Past 65.
Thanks a lot.
My very first question to you today. While we were growing up, what were your perspectives of elders in society? Now, has that impression changed? It's going to be more than a double-barrel question. Some older people feel neglected, feel relegated to the background. Is that a true or correct perspective that they have? Please trace a comparison for us then and now.
Thank you very much, Stella. When I was growing up, the elders were held in absolute reverence because the society was such that it was not limited to just parents alone. Any elder was right and at ease to correct a child who was going wrong. It didn't matter whether the child was his or hers or not. And as a result, that awe was created among the people, the society, the community itself, so that everybody who was old enough was identified as an elder, as a mentor, as a corrector. And that's how it was, not just at societal level, but even in the service, in the government service. I remember in the mid-60s, there were, particularly in the North, any graduate that came out automatically got a job with the government, got a car, got a house, and his salary was assured. So there was some level of balance, in the way things were being held at that material time. People were content, they were happy, and they were putting in their utmost towards the society to ensure that nothing went awry. But when the military regime came, they came with their own format of government, the unitary system and the rest of it, one coup after another and so on and so forth. But I think where we really slipped was in 1976, when the late Murtala came and there was the Dorgu Commission and the rest of them. And Dorgu was commissioned to look at the civil service, see how it could be pruned in such a way that the civil service will not be top heavy or whatever it is, and everything will work out well and everybody will. But unfortunately, difficult of the military, rather than prune, they hacked, cut down everything. You are a civil servant, you're going to work, you're on your way to work, and all of a sudden on the radio you heard you've been retired. That was a very, very significant drawback for us in this country, because it affected the psyche of our people, especially the civil servants, who had assurances of finishing their work and at the end of the day, going back home with some retirement benefits. If all of a sudden you're told on radio you have been sacked, your hopes have been dashed, and you have nothing else to look up to. Perhaps you had not even saved anything. You're reduced to penury. That was precisely what happened in that particular military regime of Murtala Mohammed, in the sense that many civil servants were not quite prepared for the rainy day. And as a result, they went into some very hard times. And the others who were still left there got their lesson. If this can happen to my colleague, it can happen to me. Therefore, I should now begin to prepare myself for whatever is to come. This is where the issue of corruption in the civil service came up. That's the genesis of it. Otherwise, everybody, it doesn't matter what part of the country you were in, people were very, very satisfied and content. Unfortunately, when this came, the issue of now grabbing came into it, and I don't know whether you could blame those people, but that was what it was at that material time. And unfortunately, it has lived on with us up to now.
Would you also say that the Dorgu system, would you say that it affected the way that the elders were perceived Because those civil servants who were revered, who were looked up to, by the time they went back to their communities with nothing, would you say that that affected the way that they were perceived by the community that they went back into?
Well, to some extent, yes, in the sense that they came back with nothing. But equally, people who revered honesty and transparency will not handle it that way. Rather, they will help to rehabilitate them, to reestablish them. Except some of them were known to have been very opulent in their approach and were rough and what have you. Otherwise, at that material time, that earlier stage, it wasn't so. But when commercialization came into it, and people are saying, oh, traders are building houses, they're doing this and they're doing that, and nothing seems to be coming out as a consequence of this. Corruption
Became a free for all.
elevated, and not many could help it. They couldn't, and it wasn't particularly easy for some who decide to still hold on to the good old ways.
What would you say, apart from what Udoji did to affect those civil servants who, many of them were traumatized just hearing their names on radio to get out of the civil service when maybe they had so many years to go. But I do know, we're not talking about it now, that Udoji also came with some not stipends, with some goodies.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Doji came with some goodies, and people who hadn't bought televisions were buying for the first time, and all of those
You're correct.
kinds of things. But when you look at the position of the elders, you look at retired judges, retired doctors, nurses, like I said at the beginning of the program. Why do you think that society seems to have sidelined them and they do not seem to hold the kind of respect that they held when they were top judges, headmasters, headmistresses, nurses, and all that?
I think it's attitudinal. I cite an example. There was a case of a governor who was trying to prune down or cut down, the number of retired whatever it is. And at one stage he asked, are these people still alive? Haven't they died yet?
Oh.
That, I think, is callous. These are people who have given everything about them to the service of the society. And all of a sudden, because they are no more required, their services are no more essential.
Needed, yes, essential.
You now say they should have been underground. I think it's a let me use the word, crude as it may be, wicked approach. And that apparently is quite an attitude of many who are in positions. Even for those who are in service. Remember, they were looking forward also to taking over from all those who were there. And as a result, when they get there, they're going to grapple with their own interests, not necessarily the ones of those, their predecessors. So very many times, these retired judges, retired people, are neglected. The system itself has created that. I'm not going to cite myself as an example for whatever it is, but by the time I was appointed the Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission.
The first, I might add.
Yes, the first. I saw it as a challenge. And I gave in my utmost to ensure that, yes, broadcasting took a new dimension altogether in the scheme of things in Nigeria. I praise and thank God that it really came to reality. And today, the number of stations that are around, that are helping, that are informing and educating and all others, are so many that people are benefiting from them. Thanks to God for the opportunity I was given to at least serve in that direction. But to say, oh, for this that you have done, this is what you get, that barely arises. I remember me having to be looking for places to stay after I left the service, until eventually the Lord provided this for me over the years. It wasn't, you know, once you are out of the service, you are reduced to a beggarly situation unless you have prepared yourself for whatever it is before leaving.
No matter how negatively, no matter how unscrupulous
Yes,
that preparation was.
but it happens, and you have no choice but to now begin to look for other means of surviving. And that, I think, is a sour taste in the mouth for elders. I thought by this stage of their lives, they should be given some level of comfort to transit into the next one. But no, that's not the case here. Once you are out, you are out. Nobody remembers you ever again. Nobody. And it's not fun at all. I think that's an area that the government must look into, the society must look into, and make sure that elders who have given their best
30
to the community,
to 35 years.
to community,
Yes.
should be given their due in every respect.
As we continue to look at your life, what were those things that motivated you? You talked about the fact that elders were held in awe, they were revered, and so people looked up to them. In your own life, what were those things that you looked up to? Who were the particular older people that gave you the motivation to want to succeed and to succeed the way that you have done?
The society itself was never as bad as what it is today. So there were a number of people who were mentors to the younger ones that were coming up. Now, as you rightly said at the very introduction, indeed, my initial intention was to be a Catholic priest. Because when I was, when my parents, they had 3 children before me, and they all died at infant mortality. And because our house was, right next door to the Catholic mission, and we're Catholics, the parish priest came to commiserate with my parents, and I told them, don't worry, the next child you're going to have will be a boy. Name him after me. That was ever before I was conceived. So that actually happened. And at the end of the day, I came out, and The Lord has preserved me this far. And indeed, I was named after him because his name was Father Thomas Duffy. So that in itself encouraged me so much to even think of being a Catholic priest too. I went in, but that didn't work. And I now took on to the next profession, which was teaching, which I've enjoyed all my life through, right from primary school to the university level of teaching. I have enjoyed it. And
up to the PhD level.
yes, yes. I've all along felt challenged by whatever I was doing, because I believed that in whatever area I needed to make a mark, be it in teaching. Many of my students who are professors up to today still see me as teacher, but that's what it is, and I enjoyed it. That's the most important thing. It's not the monetary benefits or whatever it is. No way. You loved the job, do it, and do it to the very best you can. And when, again, I got into, what is that? When I got into broadcasting, this was way back 1968. And how did I get in there? My involvement in students' affairs. And at the end of the day, the American government, which owned the college in Kano, decided to choose me as one of the 5 that were to go to Ohio University to go and study whatever. And I was chosen to go and study mass communications. I loved it. But how many of us were exposed to it? The then North had a television station in Kaduna, which served a very limited circle of people. But that was all. But as God Almighty would have it, I was chosen to go in for a first degree in mass communications in Ohio University. I went in. Instead of 3 years, I did 2 years, and I came back with a cum laude. And I started teaching in Kano, and now directing programs, in that same place. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. The remunerations were totally immaterial. That you're able to convert pictures into realities that people can watch and enjoy. It gives you so much satisfaction. And that's how I took it on until later I had to leave ABU, where I was lecturing then, to go to the first broadcast station in Benue Plateau, that's Jos, which turned out to be the first color television in Nigeria. And you're not working in order to get the money. What money? Many times, my colleagues and I, some who are involved in drama, some in comedy, and the rest of them, we were working together. Sometimes in some drama productions of my colleagues, we will be on till about 12 midnight, just to make sure things went. Not the money at all. And we really, really, really were happy with it.
I'll just ask a quick question.
Yes,
as a follow-up to that. You're talking about the passion that drove you, that motivated you to be the best that you could be. How do you see us today? Do you see the younger generation, or even those who are immediately younger being driven by passion in the things that they do?
Well, it's limited. Let me put it that way. It's not an easy thing to just simply say, yes, people are driven by passion. There are people who are, no doubt about it. There are, up till now. And I can easily cite examples of a number of people. But the point is, Other variables had come into it, more especially the financial. In our given circumstances now, I don't know how much you can talk of passion vis-a-vis survival in whatever we're doing these days. It is the money that counts very much. But with us, it wasn't an issue at all. We enjoyed it, we loved it, and we worked very hard for it. That's exactly what it was.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I had parents who were civil servants, and we knew how we grew up, how it was the passion, not the money, that motivated them to be the best that they could be. Because I recall that it was a thing of pride to even be children of civil servants.
Exactly.
When we were in school, we kind of thumbed down those children whose parents were traders or market women or things like that. But I guess we can't do that anymore today. Let's segue into this question about how the elderly are perceived even by government. We just went through the protests that was supposed to last for 10 days. And the government called all kinds of stakeholders, all kinds of groups, traditional rulers, religious rulers, even the youths they called. But there was a group that was noticeably absent from the people that the government called together, the elders. And it wasn't until a group of elders, the Patriots, which, as you know, was founded by Rotimi Williams, that founded the Patriots. And they got themselves together. They do that to go and speak to the government, where they laid out what they felt were issues, some burning issues that the government was supposed to take care of in order to avert any kind of strike, any kind of protest, and even to ensure good governance in the country. When you saw the Patriots, what did you think? That they, as elders, had to, as it were, intrude themselves to say, we are here. We have been contributors. We are stakeholders. We shouldn't have been relegated to the background.
That is the attitude, unfortunately. A lack of respect for people who have put in their utmost to the society. Because you see them as not relevant as of now, you treat them the way they want. And as I said earlier on, it's the attitude, and that must be stopped. It must be halted, because these elders going to their graves in such negative environment will not augur well for those who even are contributory to such developments. It is unfortunate. We have that attitude among us here that once you have given your service, you have finished.
You're expendable.
Yes. You have nothing else to offer. Go and sit down somewhere. And I don't think that is what it should be. We can see in other developed countries, in America, see what they're doing to their soldiers and the rest of them, all the retired people and so on. They're given all forms of honor and respect.
Yes.
But here, you are seen as having done your work, go and sit down. And I think it is not the best for us. It's not the best for us at all. It is I don't know, it's dangerous. And the earlier the government thinks seriously of reviewing it, the better, because the elders still have a role to play in the affairs of this nation. If nothing else, the wisdom with which they operated and brought us this far is still there. The young ones have all the energy and what have you, but the elders have the wisdom to share with the younger ones.
Prof, at age 80, you launched the Tom Adaba Legacy Project. It focuses on cultural preservation, youth development, education, and improving standards of living for community. By all standards, you should have been retired, long retired at that time.
Haven't I?
But you kept going on. How did you do it? And when you talk about the youths, how were you able to bridge the intergenerational gap, especially in today's AI and technology age?
Let me confess that it's not I that did it. The concept really came from the children. And they felt, and very strongly, that in view of whatever would be identified as my contributions to society, it should be reflected in a project of this nature, promoting values and helping the younger ones grow in a much better environment than they find themselves. It may interest you to note that we started off from a very ordinary thing that is found among our people. Our women are known to be weavers. They weave a lot of okene cloth. And that one was virtually dying. And we thought, no, we should be able to come back with it. Let those who were experts in them come back and begin to teach the younger ones, especially the ones in the schools, what to do. Not just A, B, C, D and the rest, but these works of art that can reflect the society. And it's amazing what results we're getting from that alone. And they get the support that we're getting from individual members, societies, and the rest of them to keep going have been helping us a great deal. And when we're talking about this, we're not talking about just one group. It's a conglomerate. The old, the elderly, the young, all, men and women. And there's so much education that is going on in it, which people of different cadres and calibers are receiving. And that gives us so much satisfaction and joy that we are able to influence individuals to now grow up onto something else than just the ABC of learning.
Would you say that this revival of the culture of the cloth, I must say that I am an honorary member of the Ebira.
Yes.
I can boast of the cloths. Would you say that that cultural revival has somehow bridged the gap, has been able to bridge the gap?
It hasn't fully. It hasn't fully, but it is doing something. Okay. There is the pride among the younger ones now to wear them, to adorn themselves with these things and display them everywhere. in cultural festivals, in various things. It is catching up, certainly catching up.
Yes. One more question if I get to what we call rapid fire. So many older people face a lot of challenges. And perhaps one of the biggest challenges they face, aside of feeling relegated to the background, not being needed anymore, is health. What do you think government has done, should be doing, or hasn't done for the
Government has
elderly?
done nothing. Government has done nothing regarding the welfare of the elders. They have done absolutely nothing. I will be ashamed to say it here that the pittance I receive by way of
Pension.
pension is a disgrace, number one. Number two, but for the grace of God and the people of goodwill and my family, I shudder to think what would have become of me in terms of healthcare. Right until the year 2008, I went for a surgery on my spine in India. I had 5 surgeries, both there and here. I've had the cause to take care of myself all through, but for the goodwill of people, as I said. Right up till today, it goes on. I am on a walker, sometimes on a walking stick. Movement is a problem for me. Who cares about that? Within me, I know for sure as a fact that I don't spend any less than 700 to 900,000 naira every week. Where do I get that fund from? What does the government provide? Nothing, absolutely nothing. And I think it's like a way of saying, get rid of him, let him go as quickly as possible. Which again I said is very, very uncomplimentary. The government should take very serious care of the elders, especially their health condition. That's all they will hold on to get to underground. And if nothing is happening, it's a great pity. Yes, it's good to say, oh, the Director General of this, of that. What goes on with it is what we're talking about. If I say it, I'm even ashamed myself to say it. I won't. That this is what I receive as pension, which is not enough to even take care of
Household expenses.
Let alone medical expenses and the rest of them. It's callous, to say the least. And I think the government should really seriously look into it. If that is the last gift you can give to elders before they go into the grave, it will be a happy thing for them. Government is doing nothing, absolutely nothing.
In terms of healthcare.
Yes.
So we can imagine for people who
7 to 900,000 naira every week.
Yes.
Every week.
For people who are not as exposed, who've not been as successful and have paid so much into the society, we wonder what would be happening to those people who had lesser exposure or closeness to government. Now, sir, our rapid fire questions. What's your favorite food that you cannot do away without in a week?
Pounded yam.
And which kind of soup?
Every Sunday, I make sure that my grandchildren come in and eat pounded yam with me in the afternoon. If you're not my grandchildren, don't come. Mm-hmm. I usually enjoy it a great deal. You know, even if it's, no matter how many muscles we're able to take, that we are together. They form a circle around me and we're eating whatever it is. It gives me so much joy. Soup? Mm-mm. Think about it. It's usually a very wonderful feeling to have the children around you, sharing a meal with you. You know, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Wonderful.
And I enjoy it every Sunday.
Wonderful. And they must enjoy it.
They do. Yes. They do. In fact, well, one of the groups just left yesterday, for Jos. And one of them said what she enjoyed most was coming to share this fellowship with me.
And the other...
of course, all the others.
The other cousins.
The same thing.
Yes. What's your favorite book?
Book?
Yes.
Book. Mm-hmm. I wish I knew. Well, by the grace of God, again, for the expense of being biased, in 2021, I published my last book,
But for God.
But for God. And it's a testimonial of what God has done in my life. What attention he has given to me, what he has made of me. Not me, but him. And people who have read it have quite some positive comments to make about them. It's about, well, the first one was about 600 pages, but we've reduced it to 500 and something pages now. But it's a testimonial of God's goodness in the lives of his children, of his faithfulness to those who trust in him. I enjoy reading, but not as much as I used to.
Yes.
Of course, age is telling very much on me. At 83, it's not fun, but we thank God.
What is your favorite holiday spot in Nigeria, in Africa, or any part of the world?
There are some places I've heard of, but I've not been to. So I can't say they're my spots. In Africa, I've been to quite a few. To Kenya, to Ghana, to Gambia. Gambia is a very quiet place. And I used to have a very old good friend of mine who lives there, who was an ambassador. And I enjoyed the serenity of the area very much. No hustle and bustle. I don't know, outside Africa.
What's your favorite Nigerian song?
Do I know of any? I just sing what comes to me. I beg you. I sing what comes to me. I don't know from.
What about your favorite Ebira song?
The songs are generally very, very philosophical.
Yes.
And historical. And sociological. There is this song about one who is in the casket, or the other one who is already under the ground. Which one is? Look, let me.
Which one is luckier?
Yes. You know, it's. Orana inapoti, orana sidesi chirezi, orana inapoti, orana sidesi chirezi, elene hunosa, eunanda nebilo rama, elene hunosa. One who is all there, one who is down. Which one is bigger than the other?
You created, or the children created, your legacy project. What would you like to be remembered for?
For whatever little bit I'm able to contribute to society to make it a better one, to be exemplary in my attitude towards others, for the younger ones to be able to pick up something from me by way of whatever they see in me that is well worth it. That to me it means a lot. I'm a lot more comfortable with people who I interact with and they see me for what I am and are able to react accordingly. Either for my worth in goodness or for my whatever it is in other areas, other phases of life. That to be remembered for is, I don't need anything extra. By the grace of God, I am what I am, and I feel good with what I am. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied. I refuse to copy. I refuse to imitate. I refuse to take cues from others. Rather, let me take my cues from Him who wants me to be what I am. And let the others also do the same, and we'll be the better off.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Tom Aze, teacher, elder Tom Adaba.
Incidentally, I became a professor in 2021, really.
Yes, when you were 80.
Yes, 2021.
Yes.
But I was an associate professor with Madonna University much earlier on in 2000.
Yes.
But this time around, I got this as a professor of communications ethics.
Okay.
But what does that matter? It's just an appendage, it's a name. To God be glory and praise.
Amen. Thank you very much, Prof.
You're most welcome there.
Thank you very much for joining us in today's episode of Quarter Past 65. Kindly follow, like, and share our posts and leave a comment on today's episode. Also, let us know what topics you would like us to talk about next, and we would surely be able to accommodate you. Your thoughts and inputs are valuable to us. Bye for now.